Everybody, welcome to the South Campus Show. This week, I'm at the apartment of Father John Brandis, good friend of mine. Welcome, John. And this is John's apartment is in Northeast Minneapolis, not too far from the Grain Belt Breweries, where I worked one summer as a struggling seminarian trying to earn money for mad money. John, you, I want to say off the top, you are the oldest priest in the diocese. Congratulations, as if that's a title. But 96 this past week, May, was it 3rd? 4th, all right. And doing well. So, John, a little bit about you and your you've been ordained a priest going on 71 years coming up this pretty soon with whenever you're ordained, early June. And tell me a little bit about the assignments that you've had. I know you started in the cathedral, did you not?
I did, yes. That was the longest. When you're a seminarian, you're always some association with the cathedral because of coming down on the streetcar to officiate, or rather participate in
the liturgies and ordinations, all that, of course.
And so I was very happy to be assigned there. And it's a very busy place. We had 4 hospitals, and there were 4 guys, actually 4 assistants.
Wow.
Which didn't last very long, but eventually I got down to 2.
You, the senior assistant, if you call it that.
I ended up the oldest very quickly.
You were there about 15 years?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I remember, your next assignment was St. Rita's? Is that correct?
No, that was my first assignment
As a pastor. That's
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
From St. Rita to St. Mark's.
All right. And folks at St. Mark's, we overlapped. I was John's associate. There was 2 associates at that time, and changing around. Those are great days. But in your assignments, like at St. Rita, you started as pastor, and I was in the seminary, and you came and gave a talk. I don't know if you remember this, at St. John Vianney, talking about what is it like to start a parish as a pastor. That's a thing, and I was quite intrigued by that. And then not too long after that, I found myself my second assignment. After being with your classmate, Father Paul Dudley, then with you at St. Mark's. And you were at St. Mark's for how many years?
14.
14, almost 15, almost as long as the cathedral. What is it about every assignment kind of has its one thing you remember it for. Is there anything that stands out about St. Mark's where you describe your St. Mark's assignment? What comes to mind for you?
It's very different from the cathedral in the sense that it was much more settled.
Neighborhoodish.
Yeah, and a single hospital to take care of instead of 4 hospitals I think we had.
Was it Midway?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that became my duty as I took over, came to you. And then from St. Mark's, St. William's.
Mm-hmm.
And
in order to I have to think about St. William's.
You were well loved every place you went.
Yeah, that was a suburban parish, and that was different.
Yeah. Well, St. Mark's was city, traditional Catholic St. Paul, little different culture. And tell me about Guatemala. How did that inspire you, or how did that come about?
I wanted to go to the missions, and I went to our mission in Venezuela, and it was very hot.
I can
don't-
testify to that, yes.
and I don't do well in heat.
Okay.
So I asked Ray Lecker, the Bishop of New Ulm. First of all, I asked, yeah, I don't know, they went to John Roach first here in St. Paul,
Mm-hmm.
or to Ray first, I don't remember. Would have been smart to talk to Ray first, so presumably I didn't. But no, I think I did, and he said, yes, you'd be welcome. I didn't want to get permission and then not have him want me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. And
Yeah. So, I mean, you were down there about 10 years?
you know, that's 12 sticks in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, that was after you were almost 80 when you came back?
Yeah, I was 66 or 60. I don't know how old.
Yeah, whatever. But
Yeah, my
you're-
memory's flown away.
you were in Guatemala after basically stepping down from, and not saying retiring, but moving on from
That's
St.
right.
Williams at your
Yeah.
late 60s, near 70, and stayed down there 12 years. That's remarkable. What about that experience? Did you know I find
Well,
every
that was the best thing I've ever done.
really
Yes.
say more about that.
Well, it was a beautiful assignment in as much as the people were excellent. Very, very welcoming, very faithful people. And so it was easy to be pastor there.
Mm.
And so it was a joy.
Yeah, and the lifestyle down there, pretty laid back, but very simple too. A simple lifestyle we can learn from. John, I have to say you live very simply. I always remember when we go skiing up at Wild Mountain, whatever, we'd take out our lunch and we'd all buy something, and you'd have your peanut butter sandwich and your cheese and your apple or whatever, and just frugal that way, and very content with the simple things. So
I think that's true, Bob.
yeah, and you teach us all in that. Also, I know I'm going to say you have a well-developed sense of the church's mission for the social gospel, and I've always admired that in you. You've helped stir some of that in me, and I think maybe even my desire to go to Venezuela. You look, and I knew many of the guys down there, Bob Hazel, others, but also the spirit, your mission-minded spirit, I think,
Yes,
helped me. So, with your call to live the social gospel too, I know you've been involved in some interesting things. I'm going to just put that out there. Talk about the Honeywell experience.
The project at Honeywell was targeting their military contracts and trying to convince yourself and somebody else that if they didn't manufacture armaments, there would be no war.
Okay, all right. That's kind of a
But
simple, basic concept. Also, I know for years, was it every Tuesday afternoon you'd be down on the bridge?
oh yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was a very public place, and there's not much to say except that my family encouraged me to do that as a priest, and then they would come over once a month. They celebrated my birthday on the bridge
Yeah.
with signs,
But the bridge was to encourage the American public to think of an alternative to
to war.
to war.
Yeah,
Yeah, wherever it may be, which
yeah,
we all want. It's the road to peace, and let's see if we can double up our efforts to get there. And
yeah. For me, it was a very easy thing to do, but it wasn't for everybody
hmm
to take a stand like that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I like the way you say that, John. That we're called to different things,
yeah, yeah,
and those who aren't called to what we're called to, there's no judgment on them. It's just we're all trying to live this gospel we've been entrusted with,
yeah. That's right.
and make our world a better place,
Yeah.
as they say. And
Well, my dad was a strong labor guy,
hmm
worked in a roundhouse, um, and union was very important to him. And he fought for unions wherever he worked, and it was a good cause.
yeah, maybe you picked up on that fighting for good causes spirit
Yeah,
that you had from your dad and the family. And
yeah,
I think we're all we fight the good fight, the good cause of the gospel, in different ways. You've done it beautifully. Also, just over the years, priests, I think, have some pretty well developed hobbies and interests. I know you've done some canoe trips back in the day, and biking, and then skiing in the winter.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
um,
the canoe trips were an annual thing, and it was good for our family for being out in the wilds
mm,
with my nieces and
hmm
nephews. That was a nice association
yeah, beautiful.
for a childless guy.
Yeah, and skiing. There's a lot of fraternal brotherhood on the hill. I always think of the group that we gather at Wild Mountain on Mondays, and
Yeah, for one reason or another, very recently, I was just thinking of skiing with you and telling you, Bob, when I ski with you, I ski better.
I take that as a compliment.
Yes, well, it was.
I ski with you, I have more fun. Yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't always easy to ski with you because I remember you and your sister out west going 90 miles an hour.
We met at Steamboat once. It was really fun, really fun. And we used to line up, get the priest. We'd have we call it just a wax race.
Yes.
We'd all go down.
No pumping, just
No pumping, just see who goes down.
see
Or then we'd have the human slalom.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my
I
gosh.
forgot about that.
I know. Very good times. But John, I want to tell you, you've been a big influence on me and my priesthood. I'm very grateful for the good. Absolutely. I hope I didn't steer you off course either, but I've learned quietly, because you're such a humble guy, just learned a ton. I want to tell you that. I'm very grateful for that.
Nice, Bob. I've always admired you.
Well, thank you. It's well, we learn from each other. I think that's one of the great parts of priesthood. Just to close out, what do you like at 96? What are you grateful for, particularly grateful for, this point in your life? You come this far on the journey.
Yeah. Well, a journey that started with very faithful dad and mother. And I'm sure my mother was, my dad would probably say what I'm trying to say now, that my mother influenced him in his faith, and they both influenced me in my faith. But I think she was the closest church person
Mm.
in in our childhood and so forth.
Yeah. Well, and you've influenced many others, myself included, in our faith. So thank you. It's been a great gift. You lived priesthood well, John. Thank you for your service. Your 71 years.
It helps being loving the work.
Mm.
The fact of your ordination opened up doors for you to ministry and to friendships. But a call that I always felt unworthy of, but extremely grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I am right now.
I love it. It's I think honestly that's what so many of us would say, unworthy of but grateful for.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And John, you've been a big part of that. Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. South Campus show here in Northeast Minneapolis with Father John Brandis this spring, 71 years a priest. John, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Bob.
You're welcome.